Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. I'm going to be doing a video today on my entire Clan Wars lineup. So all three builds that I'm currently using. For Clan Wars, I'll be doing an introduction of them and a build tutorial thereafter. So the three builds in question will be the Masteron Bastion that you see in front of you. Is going to be the Helican Hover, the reworked Helican Hover, with the 4 hovers at the front and the 3 at the back, so to speak. And finally, the Typhoon Spider. I think, yeah, we'll start in that order just because the Mastodon Bastion is my most commonly used build and the other two are somewhat niche. I figured I'd do this video just because I've had a few guys message me for builds over the last week or two, and at this point, like, screw it, you might as well have something that, works. I just figured I might as well just do the whole thing because they're all the builds are relatively either new or a new rework of an old existing build. So I just figured, screw it, I might as well just put them all up there. I was going to do this tomorrow on Friday, but I figured probably better off to do it on a Thursday, because that way, if you did want to build the build yourself, you will have at least a day's notice to do it for Clan Wars on Saturdays. On that note, actually, I'm not going to be uploading. This is one of the reasons why I'm uploading today instead of tomorrow. I'm not going to be uploading this build to exhibition because I have essentially deleted my exhibition. I did it when I think all of those are set for realist because he's on the leaderboard, but we all deleted our exhibition when Xbox merged, just so no one can do the not streams type, the subscriber snipe or dodge thing anymore. So it was we didn't want Xbox to do what PlayStation had been doing up until that point. So hopefully someone after I've made this video will see the build, and if anyone wants to, you make it and share it with anyone else who might want it, because I can't. So that's the reason for that. Anything else I want to go over? No, I think that's it. And we do in the introductions as follows. I'll just introduce the build, talk about various design decisions, or like why it's built a certain way, why I did certain choices. After that, I'll talk about its compositions, or comps that it works in, and why I pick it for certain comps. And then finally, I'll do the traditional, like complete build through as slow as possibly to show all of the mountain points. But yeah, let's start with the Mastodon Bastion, shall we? Okay, Mastodon Bastion. Now I should point out that pretty much everything on this except for guns is mass fused. So I understand that a lot of people won't be able to run this exact build, but you can get close, It's still a decent design, still a good build. It's very good for the current meta of going up against Punishers and Mastodons. Basically, sort of our main competitors, I guess you could say, will roll, and they run the same comp that we run a lot of times. Maybe a slight change with regards to Breaker Hover or something sometimes. But they'll run Punnies and Mastos essentially, and this is very good if you're going up against Punishers and Mastos because the guns are very well protected and you have a lot of HP on your cap. So this has 11 legs and still 4,700 HP with the carbon and Omamori. So the Omamori is attached to the carb and this gun. And I'll talk about this now, actually, why I decided to do this. And it's actually a really important discussion I would like to, not you, but have. Really important thing I'd like to talk about with regards to gun placements on Mastodon placements, that is, on Bastion build, because I've seen various designs and I've said before that I'm not a fan of some of them. Get rid of you. Right. So when I'm playing a spider, I'll talk about the Omamori first actually. When I'm playing a spider, I don't know why it is, maybe because I'm right-handed, but say if someone's shooting at me, a Punisher for example is shooting at me, and I've got all the armor around my guns. It's not stripped or anything. I'm just doing this for the design talk after this. But anyway, say someone's shooting my guns and you want to shield your guns, okay? What I will tend to do, I always turn my build for some reason to the right. Just kind of like instinctively, I guess because I'm right-handed. So I've got the carbine, the plow, protecting my right gun from the Punisher, and my left gun is protected from the armor that would be around it. Now I always tend to do this, just instinct. I don't turn it to the left too much. For some reason, I always turn it to the right. Now for that reason, I have put my Omamori on the gun on the left, because I always turn it, like if you're in a situation where a Punisher shooting at me, no matter what the Punisher does, he can't hit my right gun. So he's going to have to like keep alternating between left and right, in which case, say he's trying to shoot my right gun, he can't shoot it, so now he turns my left, then he turns my left, but because I instinctively do this, my left gun is always going to be slightly more exposed to damage than my right, so that's why it's got the Omamori. I do like the Omamori placement on this. It's got, so it's attached to the Odin, as you can see, we've mounted up here. It's also attached to the reload module, attached to that gun, and it's attached to the cab. The Odin's up here because if it gets popped, it doesn't affect the frames, and I've got a fuse for less damage. So if I had it on the floor, for instance, then I'd probably be looking at heavier frames. So because I've got it mounted up in the air, it actually saves me quite a bit of weight. So that's the reason for that. What else? Right, so the Omamori, so there's basically two main designs that you can have, three main designs, I do apologize, that you can have when mounting a Masteron on a bastion. You can either have them way I have here, which is one square gap from the cabin itself. This is my preferred one. Now, what you can do is what Roll, for example, does, is they have, I don't know if they still do, but they had. They'd have the gun. Is attached to anything else? Okay. Right. Of course, I need my Odin back. Of course. I'm trying to do a tutorial. I'm trying to do a conversation. All right. So what the one way of doing it is to have the guns like this, and then you chuck an averter up here. And then inverters attached to here. No, to here. Inverters attached to the guns, it's attached to the carbon, so you get a nice boost and you get a nice buff. So the Mastodons go from 1500 HP, they get like a 30% buff. So you're talking about 2000 HP Mastodon, and then an inverter on the cab, so your cabin's not going to get shot out too much. And you don't have to worry about mounting points or anything. Now, the reason I prefer this design as opposed to this design is because if you ask me, I don't know what, I'm just looking at it here, the hitbox seems pretty much, I don't know, does it seem the same? I would honestly say that the gun on the right has a smaller hitbox than the gun on the left. I don't know if that's just me being biased, but I can't really tell. I think that it's going to be harder to hit that gun than it is that now. But more importantly, the reason I don't do it is because the barrel of the Mastodon can always be shot by punnies. So if I've got a punny in front of me, I could turn it like this, I could turn it like that, it doesn't matter where. I cannot shield my right gun. He can always shoot it no matter where he is. He can just shoot the barrel, essentially. And any explosion damage, so how much HP do I have? 800. Okay. So I would have did that. But any explosion damage also is, if we hit you with an explosive shell, like a Mastodon. So the Mastodon is about 60% explosion damage, about 400 odd explosion damage from a Masto shot. It's going to hit you, and some of it's going to hit the gun essentially. So that's why I don't like this design too much. I prefer it like this. The third choice basically is to put the guns. So that's 1 and 2. The third choice would be to have a 2 square gap and put the gun somewhere around here-ish, because you can still lock the angle. But the problem with that is that any Punishers will shoot at your mountings by here, and that's because that's what I did with the original Masteron like a week or two ago. I had it 2 squares out from the cab, but Punishers can shoot basically the reload module and the Omamori that was mounted here, so that's why I don't do that. I prefer it this way. And besides that, it's pretty much self-explanatory. A bunch of HP, hard to hit the guns. I do like this actually. This is my favorite part of the entire build. If that thing fits. Actually, I'm fully builded. So this, my favorite part of the build. That it fits by there and that it fits by there. It's the only piece that will actually fit the 7 squares, just enough to fight the mountain point. So I did have a frame there, but because I can swap out for a frame, it means I got more HP on my cab. Really nice. And that's pretty much it. Right, I'll just go through the build through of it now, and then we'll move on to the Helgut. Okay, and Hell can build next. Not much to say about it, to be honest. Four hovers at the front, like I said, three at the back. I did just give it a slight rework to include the legendary cloak. I had a purple cloak on it before I started recording this video because I was too lazy, but I figured I'd run the video, I might as well. Took the legendary on there. Anything to say about this? No, not really. In terms of build, it's pretty much what you would expect. I use it against spiders, teams, and dogs. So, well, not against dogs specifically, but if you're going up against spiders and dogs, then this is actually quite a fine build. Basically, the idea is against spiders, you'll run one master, two bunnies, and a Helcan on like a decent sized map. And if you're fighting an enemy spider team, then you can't be at a decent advantage because you've got mobility, you've still got a bit of heating, you've got good damage. And then the idea is they will still have to kill three of your spiders. By the time they're done killing three of your spiders, you'll probably be on like most of your Catalina stacks and you'll be full health and they'll be so crippled that you'll just mop up afterwards against a really good spider team. So that's the idea of it, and that's what I run if we warrant it. Most of the time I just run the Mastodon Bastion. And it's a really good build, to be honest. It's nice and reliable. The hovers back here, like good frontal armor and whatnot. Yeah, it hasn't let me down. No rune, just the base Yeti, I think, for me, because it's up against spiders and dogs. I don't need 60 seconds of cloak. 35 is plenty for a Clan Wars environment. It's only when you're up against, like, if you're in like a scope fight or a typhoon fight or you're fighting against other ranged hovers, then you want as long a cloak as you can get, obviously. But if you're fighting just spiders and dogs, you don't really need it, to be honest. So I figured I saved myself the weight. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll go on to the Typhoon. Well, I'll go on to the build through and then the Typhoon after that. Typhoon Spider, my favorite, sorry, build in the entire freaking game. Um, so just to preface, I'll start off with this build. If you're a spider team and you're worried about going up against enemy hover teams, then this build is probably your best thing to run. So if you had a Typhoon Spider, a Mastodon Spider, and then two Punishers, that is a very good comp, in my opinion, to use against a full hover team. Because normally, if a hover team is fighting against just Masters and Punnies, they don't really need to be worried about peeking. Because the Masters, you got to charge. The Punnies, most of their concentration will be on the minimap, just making sure they're keeping the distance. But then when you throw in a Typhoon Spider into the mix, now it changes that entire dynamic because they have to worry about the minimap, making sure they're not getting too close to the punch list. But they also need to worry about that every time they peek, they can get hit reliably. Especially if your Typhoons are fused for projectile speed. I have unfused Typhoons at the minute. Hopefully they're in the Easter fuse event. But if you have fused Typhoons, then you can land the majority of shots against their hovers, and it won't take that many for you to actually not kill them, but really hurt them to the point where their mobility is pretty screwed. An Icebox Typhoon will deal like 630 damage, which is why for a fuse event I actually wouldn't be opposed to durability damage projectile fusion. That'd be kind of sick in my opinion for a Typhoon Spider. So yeah, it really doesn't take too many hits for you to mess up a hover on this thing, and you can hit them reliably. So that's the idea. You basically march with your spiders, and you just smack them. It's really nice to run Typhoons when you've been playing Masterons for a long time, because you don't need any charge time or anything like that. If they peek out for off, like bang, you know, 600 damage, and hovers can't really afford to keep taking too many 600 damage hits. The legendary cloak is even better with it because you can get a lot of peeps in, because you can like choose when to cloak up, when to uncloak, so that's really just synergize well with the Yeti. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The build, nice, and it's got decent dura, to be honest. 2400 health. Was it 8 biograms, 3 Garidas? There's nothing wrong with the build. The Omamori is attached to pretty much everything that you would want. So the Omamori is on the cab, it's on the guns, it's on the Pegasus, it's on the reload module, and it's on the Jenny, which is nice. I did have to give this a slight rework this morning just because the developers changed a lot of the stats of the bumpers, just like minutely though, just to be annoying. So I changed it a little bit from how it was, but it's the same build in principle. And yeah, like I said, if you're going up against a hover team and you're on spiders, I would very much recommend running one of these because it's just fantastic and it's insanely fun to play. Let me see actually. How many shots does it take to mess up my Helican hover? Because it won't be too many, I don't think. Also, when you're shooting at the hover, it depends how close they are, but if you're running with Punishers and it's a close-in map, yeah, actually, where to shoot would depend on the map. If it's a close-in map and you're running Typhoon, I would just go for the guns, to be honest, because you can hit them like. If it's a bigger map, I would just go for hovers on like general, like center mass essentially. Just make sure you get a damage in. Right, so let's see. So 1, 2. Right, 5 before I'm popped. But if I'm fighting a hover at this range, I'm gonna smack the hell out of them guns pretty easy. So it's really, really good against hovers. It can do alright if you're going up against spider teams on a big map, but for the most part, I'm only going to use this personally when I'm going up against other teams, like SSSR or something like that, you know? And those are all of my Clan Wars builds that I'm currently running. So thanks for watching, everyone. I probably won't be streaming first session on Saturday just because I won't be here. I got some errands to run. But I'll probably be uploading a video on Sunday of how Clan Wars went on the weekend, and I'll catch you then. So thanks for watching, everyone, and see you later.